Hi, I'm Mr. Franklin, and this is the weekly overview video for the week of December 7th. Yes, making sure. So this week is going to be about current electricity and circuits. So as a real quick overview, this week may seem a little lighter, but that's because there's some quarter project stuff you're going to be working on. So first you're going to have some video notes, and that's on Monday. Then you're going to do set up the TED Ed video. We're going to talk about how to do it. We're going to take a look at our Canvas tools. We may even practice making a couple videos in our Zoom class. And then you're going to actually set up and prepare your video. On Wednesday, you will take some more video notes on voltage. If you're in the Block 3 class, that will be on Tuesday, and your TED video setup will be on Wednesday. We'll just flip-flop those days. On Thursday, both classes will do the circuits gizmo. If you're in block 1 or 2, we will actually go through electricity and circuits. And if you're in block 3, we will do these electricity and circuits Zoom on Friday. The weekly quiz will be mostly vocabulary, and it will deal with basically the essential questions from the video notes. And then you'll finish off the week with the weekly reflection. The great news is once you get through this week, we only have 1 week left. So please make sure you're working through this as best you can, as well as doing one little thing to catch up as well every day. All right, so let's jump into and look at some details. So the first thing I've got for you this week is video notes on current and conductivity. So the essential questions, these are the things that you should be able to answer from this video. There is a ton of information packed in this video. And this is a video by Mr. Bimke. So lots of great detail. He does have you pause and write things down, which are important, but it's actually just as important, if not more important, that you are paying attention to these questions, because these are the things I'm going to expect you to be familiar with. Okay. Right here, though, for number 3, I ask you to take a look at your phone charger. So I'm actually going to show you this in our Zoom class, but if you look at a charger, and I will try to zoom in. This is a white charger, so it might be hard to see. But basically, you're going to look for, and the camera may not, there it is. You're going to look for this kind of information, okay? And you should see output, the word output. And this one says 20.3 volts, then has a line with some dots, and this says 3A. Okay, I want you to take a look at your charger. It actually should be written on any electrical appliance. On the bottom of your computer where the battery goes, it should be written on there. You should see the voltage and the amperage for your electrical device. The big thing is these last 2 sections, the more resistance and more current section, you should watch more for information and understanding, because he's going to explain what current actually is, what a lot of this stuff actually means from a physics standpoint. We're not going to have a lot of time to get into them like we normally would. So I want you to watch and pay attention, but I don't really need you to write notes for that section, okay? Because there's a lot of notes to write if you write it down. So just watch it, pay attention, and I think it'll make the rest of this up here make sense. Okay, so that's your first set of video notes. Okay, then we're going to briefly review that and then set up our video. If you are looking at this, the quarter project 6.2.2 TED video setup, what you're actually going to turn in for this assignment is your note cards and any visuals that you're going to use for your video presentation. Okay, so this is not where you're going to turn in the actual video. I will be releasing that later this week as part of the quarter project module. So you're going to take a picture or a screenshot of either the slideshow or of your note cards, whatever you're going to use for yourself to speak from, as well as visuals for your audience. This is not the video submission, okay? So this is not where you're going to turn in the video. Okay, Down here, we'll go over this again in more detail, but the TED Ed video presentation, this slideshow actually goes through and lays out what I'm expecting. So really, I want you to take this video and pretend like you're trying to convince a beginning scientist. So basically, next year's freshman. They're in 8th grade right now, okay? And you're going to try to convince them whether or not your TED Ed video is presenting good scientific information, okay? So you're going to state the question proposed by the video. You're going to state the claim and then provide two pieces of evidence from the video to support, and provide reasoning for each piece of evidence, why it supports the claim. And if there is something lacking in the video, you should also state that as well. We'll get into this. We'll do some examples and show you some things on Tuesday or Wednesday, but you're going to use Canvas as a minimum to record your video. You can also use your phone to record a video. The video shouldn't be too long, okay? So if you're going on for more than about 3 minutes, you probably need to rethink what you're saying and keep it short and sweet. That's difficult, okay? If you have access to editing, you might just record it and then edit it down. Suggestions, make sure you have lights up, beware of the backgrounds, and you can edit. We'll come back and talk about that on Tuesday some more. When you're speaking, make sure you're speaking to the camera. Dress for success. I don't want you to buy anything, but you should practice dressing up as best you can. If all you got is all you got, then go for it, okay? But if you do happen to have, like for guys, a coat and tie, wear a coat and tie to give your presentation, okay? And you'll see that on the rubric. But I'm not asking you to go buy anything. Here are the rubrics. I tried to be a little more clear on what the expectation for each thing is. You've already done the bulk of the work in analyzing the claim, evidence, and reasoning. However, some of you, as I'm giving feedback, hopefully are going to make adjustments for the presentation and strengthen your presentation of the claim, or the presentation of the evidence, or presentation of the reasoning. When it says appropriate academic language, it means you're using vocabulary words and you're using them appropriately. Visuals, okay? Big thing I want to reemphasize is business formal. You can click on this link right here. You can Google business formal, okay? And take a look at what that actually means, okay? But it's a really good thing for you to start thinking about. You're just a freshman, and you may not have some of this, okay? But you need to start preparing to get yourself some of this. Christmas is a good time to kind of take a look at your wardrobe and think about, what do I need for the future, okay? So having a coat and tie for gentlemen. Ladies, your situation is much more complicated. It always is, okay, because of fashion and all that stuff. But take a look at this. Business ideas, formal ideas for women, okay? It's a great article to kind of look at and think about, okay? Just know that I'm not saying you need to go out and buy it, but in general, at Steel Canyon, there is usually a time where we have formal presentations. As a senior, you have to do a formal interview process, like you're interviewing for a job. We want to prepare you for life outside of school, and dress is part of it. So be thinking about that. Talk about it with your parents. But I do want to stress, I'm not telling you you must go out and buy it now, but be thinking about it. Also be smart. Many of you are still growing, okay? So, if you're like guys, if you're going to go out and buy a coat, don't be afraid to buy something relatively cheap, because in about 2 years, you'll outgrow it and you'll have to buy another one. So, keep that in mind. You might also buy one that's maybe a size too big. It'll look kind of weird at first, but you'll grow into it. Sometimes you won't, but most of the time, many of you are still growing. So keep that in mind as well. And it's one of those things, build build it as you go. So for example, probably the first thing I would buy would be like a nice pair of pants and a button-up shirt. The next thing would be a tie to go with it. And then shoes that go with it. And then the coat, okay? Generally shoes and the coat are the most expensive thing. So, you know, keep that in mind, but I would build it. I mean, seriously, like 1 year or 1 semester, I buy one thing. The next semester or next year, I buy the next thing. Okay. So you spread it out if you need to. And if you're able, you can go all out and get it right away. That's fine. But I'm not requiring you to buy anything. I'm just saying that you should start preparing yourself to have that kind of stuff. Okay. And these words right here, business formal, business casual, school casual, if you actually Google those, it will pull up a list of what that means. Okay. All righty. Let's see. And that's the last slide for that. So we're going to go over this again on Tuesday. So if you get to this and you're not really sure what to do because you're working ahead, you can start preparing your note cards, pick what your TED Talk is, but you know, don't worry about turning in anything right away. Wait till the Zoom class, and we'll work on it together. Okay. Next thing you're going to do is another set of video notes. This one's on voltage, and this is really cool. Mr. Bemke did a lot of stuff with electrical engineering. Voltage. He is very knowledgeable about this stuff, and so he presents a very interesting, very physics-oriented idea of what voltage is. Okay, if you approach an electrical engineer in a basic conversation, they will probably know those things, but they will probably talk about it differently a little bit. Okay, just keep in mind, really focus on these essential questions as you're watching the video. Be careful. Some of these things are only said by him and are not written in the video, but they're very important. Once again, here is another place where I want you to look at your charger. You can also look on the battery of your phone. Then we'll have our Zoom on circuits. For your circuits gizmo, you're going to go to Explore Learning and do the gizmo. Now, this has activity A, B, and C, but what I've done is I've actually deleted some of the math parts of this. So it should really be you doing something in the gizmo, maybe thinking about it and writing your answer, and then going back to the gizmo. Starts off with some basic questions, and then it's going to ask you to build a circuit. Okay. So create a circuit with a battery, a light switch, a wire, and a light bulb as shown. So you got to look at the picture, and that's what we're going to build. So it's really simple. We're going to drag our light bulb, and see these little wire posts? You can connect it and put it where you want. So that's where our light bulb is. Let's see, we got a switch and a wire. So we need some wire, and oh, we need a battery. So let's put a battery on here. What else do we need? Let's go back and take a look. Battery, switch, and bulb. Okay, let me make sure I got this in the right place. Here, I'll put that there, just so it matches my picture so I'm not making any mistakes. And I can turn the light switch on and off, okay? So really simple, we just made an electric circuit. And then you answer these questions, okay? Now, to change the voltage of the battery, so I click on the battery, and then I'm going to move the slider to change the voltage. Okay, I move it. See this battery voltage? I can actually click on show current. It shows which way we say current is moving. The electrons actually move a different direction, and the electrons are actually what's moving. So why do we do this in physics? It's because current was discovered before we discovered the electron. So when we first came up with the idea of electric current, we made a lot of decisions about how to talk about it before we understood how it fully worked. And so by convention, and it's never changed, we say current flows from the positive end of the battery to the negative end of the battery. But guess what really happens? The electrons flow the other way. Now, with the controls, we can also clear, and it clears the circuit board for us, okay? So click clear, create the circuit shown at the right. So now it looks different. So now it's not the light bulb. We're gonna use this 10 ohm resistor. So we got this 10 ohm resistor. How do we know it's 10 ohms? Because of the color code of the bars. Those are fuses. A voltmeter. So if I build a circuit, if I take this voltmeter, I can put that there and that there, and it will tell me what the voltage of the circuit is. So notice I matched up the positive with the positive and the negative with the negative. So whichever end you put it tells you what the voltage push is across that component. Okay. I can also use an ammeter. An ammeter tells me what the current is. Okay, so there's the current, there's the current, there's the current. The ohm meter actually tells me the resistance. Okay, yeah, you gotta, so notice it gave me an error as I had the circuit on. The ohm meter will not function properly when attached to a live circuit. Disconnect all batteries. So I gotta turn off the switch. Now, why is this? In real life, an actual ohm meter produces its own current, okay? It produces its own voltage, and you don't wanna be mixing those up, okay? So it sends a test voltage or a test signal across the item, and it actually measures the resistance as a result. Okay, so the ohms for this is 15 ohms. Okay, so then I can disconnect the ohm meter, and now I can turn on the switch and my light bulb is back on. Next thing, you're gonna do this, you're gonna build actually a couple of circuits, trying different ohms, writing down what the current is. So this one, normally we might go into the math, but what I want you to do is talk to me in plain English. As the voltage gets bigger, this is what happens to the current. As the resistance gets bigger, this is what happens, okay? So you're gonna use that kind of language. So the next thing you're gonna be doing in activity B is you're gonna be building what's called a series circuit. So a series circuit is nothing more than building a circuit with two light bulbs in series with one another. Okay, so that's a series circuit. You're going to do that first. Follow the directions. I think they might actually have you go up to 3 light bulbs. Okay, but you're going to build 3 circuits. They might actually have you do batteries in series as well, which you can also do. Okay, that changes how the circuit works, but in series. Okay, now, so the other way to do this, this is activity C. Activity C. So here, see, they show you how to do it. So follow the pictures, okay? Activity C asks you to do what's called a parallel circuit. So notice how the light bulbs are basically parallel to each other. They are not in a series. They're not in a row, okay? So for parallel, I'm going to take my light bulbs and make it look like parallel lines and connect those. And then I'm going to connect the battery over here. Here, let's go ahead and put a switch on here. Okay. Now can we flip this? There we go. So it should go battery, current going this way, switch, and then there you go. You're going to play with this and you're going to see how it's different. Okay. Now, just so you know, this kind of circuit is how your house is wired. Okay, so with this one, you're gonna set up several things in parallel. You're gonna answer questions. You're gonna have a series of 4 light bulbs in parallel and see how it's different or the same. And you're gonna compare it to what it looks like in series. Then you will have your quiz, which will have some basic, it's gonna be mostly vocabulary oriented type questions. They might, if you basically know what those essential questions are, you'll probably know what the answers are to the quiz. It'll be simple. Very similar to like last time. It might actually have a couple of pictures of Coulomb's law that weren't on the quiz that were supposed to be. So that might be the other addition. Do your weekly reflection. Big thing, I know I'm putting it at the end of the week. Please be inserting a copy of your planner, what your plan was for the week. Please be planning, okay? Especially going into the following week. It's our last week of school next week. And so you got to have everything done and caught up by the end of next week. So you got 2 weeks, but be making a plan and be executing the plan. And if you do one thing a day, that's 10 days. That's 10 assignments. Wow, you could really get caught up in that time. Okay, so please fill this out as best you can. Next Friday, you will have a different type of reflection. It'll actually be a survey. So be looking forward to that as well. All right. Let's see. And that wraps up this week. So please, if you have any questions, email me. Don't be afraid to come to tutorial on Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, or go to Cave tutorials and get help that you need. All right, that's all I've got. Have a great week, and I will see you on Tuesday or Wednesday for Zoom.